Hi, fifth graders. Today we are going to work some more on our house drawings that we began, well, it seems like a long time ago now. We've finally gotten our houses drawn, we've added the details, and then we put those crayon layers on top of it to keep all of that paint where it's supposed to go. Today we are finally going to start painting it. So we've got something like this, and we are going to need to use a few extra paint brushes for this because we have some, probably, hopefully, if you added enough details, some pretty small areas on our paper that our brush will not fit in, those great big colorful brushes. So instead we're going to use some smaller paint brushes today, and some bigger ones too if you want to. That way we can get into all the little details and get everything painted. So let's get started. Okay, so I've got my drawing. I've got a good layer of crayon on every single line. And now I'm ready to start painting. So over here I've got my water, I've got my paints. They're going to be just off screen, but you know what they look like. I've also got my big brush, and I've also got a smaller brush for my details. So the first thing I'm going to start with, that anyone should start with their painting, is the biggest areas first. We're going to work from biggest to smallest, just like how when we did our drawing, we started with the big shapes and then we worked our way down to the little details. So let's start with the big paintings and then we will paint those details. Before you get started though, this is the most important thing to remember. Remember that we are not painting the sky or the ground, okay? We're going to do something else really cool to the sky and the ground next time. Today, we are just painting the house, and maybe if you put a little path in front of it, you can paint that too, or some bushes. But leave the sky, leave the ground. We are going to do a really cool blending of chalk to make a cool sunset on that. But if you paint it, then you don't get to, so don't paint it. Alright, I'm going to start with my big areas, which would be my walls. So I think I'm going to make this a pink house, because why not? It's my house. I can make it whatever color I want. Now, we know that this crayon is going to keep my paint from going on my lines, but it will not stop my brush from going over. So if I wanted to make these two colors different, I would have to go very carefully along the edge to keep that from going over. However, if you don't care if it's going to be the same color on both sides, then you can paint right over that line, and that wax is going to say, whoa, stay off of me. I am wax, and I don't like water. So first thing I'm going to do is just paint all my big areas pink. And I'm going to paint very carefully along those lines. Notice that I'm not trying to put my big brush in those little areas. I'm just going to save those for later when I'm using my smaller brush. Okay, that's about the only pink areas I can do with my big brush. So I'm going to set it aside, take my smaller brush, and I'm going to finish up the little areas with this. Now I don't want to do the whole painting with my little brush because it's going to take forever, and you'll get bored. I know I would. So go ahead and switch back and forth. Now I can do these little details. I still have to be careful around the edges of my lines. Alright, now my pink house, the main color is done. So that's one of the biggest areas. Another big area on my house is these two pieces where I put some siding. I think I'm going to make that siding brown. Alright, let's talk about shingles. A lot of you guys have shingles. If you want to do things the easy way, you can paint all of your shingles the same color. However, if you want to do things the fantastic way, I recommend painting your shingles a couple colors, maybe doing a pattern, just because it will make your drawing look so much more interesting to have more colors going on. I think I'm going to do a primary color pattern, so I'm going to use red, yellow, and blue on my shingles. Okay, shingles. Last, I just need to finish up my last little details until every single thing on here is finished. So I'm going to jump ahead until the windows, because those are the next thing I want to talk about. Okay, so windows. Windows are a complicated thing sometimes to think about, because what color is a window? Well, it's clear, and we don't have any clear paint unless you can't water, and that's not going to do anything. But here's how I like to render windows. This is how I like to make them look. I like to make it look like it is reflecting something outside. But to do that without making it really complicated, I just take some black paint and I add some water to it so it's lighter. And against our white paper, if you mix black and white, you get gray. So I'm just going to get a really watery black. Very, very watery. And then I'm just going to splash it across my windows. I'm going to do the same thing up here where you can see it better. And I'm not even going to do a very good job. I'm not even going to go all the way to the edges. I'm just going to splash it on and then let it set. And that just kind of looks like the window is dark. Maybe it's reflecting some stuff. Maybe not. Who knows? But it's better than leaving it white. And if you have curtains, just paint those curtains on and let them dry, and then just splash it over them so they look like they are inside instead of outside. That's all you have to do for some basic windows. I can do that in this one too. So this is basically what you should have when you are done painting. I don't think anyone should get done today. In fact, I'm going to make a rule that you are not allowed to be done at the end of class. So if you go really fast and you say, I'm done, that is not a good thing. That means you went too fast and you did not spend enough time on your details. I won't get mad at you if you think you're done early, but I will get mad if you say you're done and then you try and stop early. If you think you're done, just raise your hand and ask, hey, is there anything else I can do? And I will point you in the right direction. Because the more time we spend on our details, that is how things end up looking fantastic. Okay, so now we're going to get out all our supplies. I'll call people up one table at a time to get their supplies, their paints, their water, their brushes, their paper towels, and then you are ready to get started.